In 2015, I started my own web design company called iCreateYourSite.com. Currently, we make over 300 websites per year. But before I started my own business, I worked a regular 9-to-5 job. I actually worked a retail sales job. It was commission-based and I liked my job. But what I want to talk about is the steps that I took to go from being an employee to eventually being able to work full-time in my own business. So I used to work at Sprint as a sales rep. I eventually became a store manager. And to be honest, it was a pretty good job. I was making about $55,000 a year. It was comfortable. I was working with technology, phones, iPads, tablets. So it was a job that I enjoyed. But during that time, the 4 years that I worked there, I also really liked web design. So I was designing websites on the side for friends, family, and small businesses. And over time, that small project started growing. Eventually, it got to the point where I had so many website projects, but because I was working full time, I couldn't actually do all of them. So I started having to say no to a lot of customers. And to be honest, even though I enjoyed my job, it was much more satisfying to work on my own, make my own money and not depend on an employer, and also be able to make my own schedule and be my own boss. But there was one main problem, and it's a problem that a lot of people face when their business starts getting traction and they're not sure whether they should take a risk and try to go all in on their business, or try to maybe balance it out like I was doing, or maybe just let it go and focus on your nice stable income. So I'm going to tell you what I did and how I was able to leave my job and dedicate 100% full-time to my business and the outcome that I had. So obviously this is going to vary for everybody depending on your level of responsibility, the kind of business, the kind of job you have, and your life situation. One thing I will say is that if you are young, it's a little bit easier because if it doesn't work out, you still have a lot of time to fix things, versus if you're older, you have a family, you have kids, it's going to be a higher risk to quit your stable job and try to do something, try to run your own business, even though it doesn't mean it wouldn't be successful. So this was the main issue. I was working full-time. I was making about $55,000 a year with commission, which was a good salary. But even though I enjoyed my job, I wasn't as happy as I was when I was running my own, doing my own thing at home. But like I said, because it was a full-time job, I didn't have enough time to take care of all the clients that I was getting. So it got to the point where I had to make a decision. Should I quit my job and risk starting this business, running this business full-time? I had to pay rent, I had to pay the bills, I'm married, I had responsibilities, I have responsibilities still. You think about all those things before making this decision. So this is kind of what it came down to. Eventually, I did decide to quit my job. And I did it kind of in the most amicable way possible. I knew the business owner was an entrepreneur. Every business owner is an entrepreneur. So I wrote them a 2-week notice. I told them exactly what I was doing, that I wanted to start, I was going to start my own business. And, I told them that I admired them because they had started their own business, and that, that I hoped that they understand the passion that I was pursuing, and that if it didn't work out, I would hope that, they would receive me with open doors, or be open to that at least, because I had been a good employee the entire time, top 5% of the company, and I always had done good by them, and I would expect the same kind of treatment. So that's a 2-week notice that I sent them, and they were a little bit surprised by that. They called me, they were like, oh, did something happen, is something wrong, what can we do? They were kind of worried, they thought something had happened, and I told them, no, nothing happened, everything is great, I like this job. It's just that, like I said in my email, I want to pursue this opportunity. So no problem. So I told them, hey, listen, don't even worry about it. Send me a manager over here. I'll train them. I'll teach them everything. I'm not an a-hole about it. And, they sent me a manager. Within a couple of days, I trained them. I explained to him everything, how the store worked, how to run it properly, got him up to speed. And my 2-week notice wasn't even up. It had been only about 1 week. And I was doing groceries with my wife. And I get a phone call, and it's my district manager. And he tells me, hey, listen, Emmanuel, we've got everything under control here. The new guy you taught, he has a pretty good handle of everything. If you want, you don't have to come back in for the rest of the week. You can just stop now if you're running your own business. So I told him, yeah, fine, I'll do it. And right there on the phone, like that was the last day that I went to work. And let me tell you guys, it's a really weird feeling when you send that 2 week notice, or you get that phone call, or you walk out of work on that last day. It's you kind of have mixed emotions. On one side, you feel like this weight and this pressure and this stress lifted off of you. You know that tomorrow you don't have to go to work again. You don't have to live by a schedule. You don't have a boss over you. You have this immense sense of freedom and de-stress that comes over you. But on the other side, you also feel this pressure that now you have to make this business work, because now there is no backup plan. This has to work or you're going to be in big problems. But overall, I felt really good, really positive about it. Definitely, the good feeling was much more overwhelming than any kind of like pressure that I might have felt. And something really interesting happens when you don't have to think about work anymore. All of a sudden, you get so many more business ideas to grow your business and different strategies and things that you can do. And one thing that I noticed is that a lot of the times when you're trying to start a business while you work, you're actually limited. Your mental resources are limited because so much of your brain's processing power is focused on your work stress and fixing the problems that you have at work, that you can't really fully understand the best way to optimize and run your business. So as soon as that pressure came off, I had a ton of new ideas, a ton of new things that I knew that I could do that would work, and I started implementing them. And actually, I was able to increase my income significantly after leaving my job. So as soon as I left my job and I was able to dedicate more time to my personal business, the scale at which I was able to create new websites and gain new customers went up dramatically, just because I had all this free time and all these new ideas that I could focus on. So a lot of the times when we're at work, we're preoccupied. We're thinking about those customers that are stressing us out, our boss that is stressing us out, different things that we have to do, projects, reports, emails, and all those things don't really let you think clearly about what you want to do. As a matter of fact, I kind of feel like your weekend is part of your job, because you kind of need your weekend to rest so that you can work again the next week. If you didn't have the weekend, you couldn't work more. So they're kind of like, you have to have a day off to work. And most of the time on the day off, you're kind of just doing like errands and like, fixing things around the house and things like that. So you never really get any time off, except maybe, you get 2 weeks out of the year, but 2 weeks out of a year is not really enough time to de-stress and really be able to think clearly about, long-term ideas. So what started happening as soon as I left my job, there was a lot of customers that I had been ignoring because I was only focusing on the high, because my time was so limited because I was working full time. I was only focusing on the really high profit margin customers, and I was ignoring all the middle and lower end customers because I didn't have enough time to dedicate to them without sacrificing the larger customers or my business. But as soon as I freed up my time and I could focus on the middle and the low end customers, I had the entire customer base available, and those were all people who were going to give me referrals and expand my business over time, to the point where I could hire developers and designers to help me get even more work done, which is what I'm doing now. So now we do, like I said, 300 websites per year. Obviously, I don't do all of them because there's no way one person could create an entire website in one day and do it every day for 300 days in a row. It's impossible. We also do logo design, and we're starting to do SEO. And obviously, to do that, you need a lot of time. You need to be able to manage different people, assign projects. So now a lot of my time is spent managing the company and supervising design work. A lot of the times I will put my input to make sure it looks good. It's kind of like, right now what I do is mostly management and quality control to make sure all the clients are getting, good work delivered to them. So my advice to you is, if you have a small business that you're running, parallel to your full-time job, once you see that business is generating comparable income to what you make at your day job, or at least is consistently generating enough income where you can sustain yourself, and you have some savings to fall back on. Obviously, you want to be smart when you do this. definitely, take a risk, quit your job, put in your 2 weeks. Obviously, like I did, do it amicably because it could fail. But a lot of the times, if you've had some success already, when you quit your job and you're able to dedicate all of your time to your business, you will see that ramp up, and you will see the results of your efforts. Also, with all the additional free time, you can also go to a lot of more networking events. You meet more people, you get more connected, and you give up this security, but what you get in exchange is very rewarding, especially if you're able to do it in a way where you're successful. I would personally recommend having 3 to 6 months worth of income so that you can really try and give it a really good shot. Even a year worth of income saved up if you can. And then, when you make that transition, if it doesn't work out, you know that you have 3 or 4 months to fall back on if you have to go back and get a job, and maybe keep working it on the side a little bit longer before you try again. But overall, that was my experience when I quit my job, and I was able to work on my own. It was really great. It's been really great. The company is growing. I couldn't be happier. It's really great to wake up in the morning every day and know that you have complete control of your time and what you're going to do that day, and that if there's a day where you feel sick or where you're having a bad day, or maybe you have other important things to do, you don't have to worry about asking for the day off or getting in trouble if you don't finish something. You're your own boss. You can adjust the schedule to what you need. You can delegate the task to someone else if you've trained them. There's just so many more options. At least in my experience, you kind of increase your level of stress while you're working your job and your side business simultaneously. You increase your level of stress and your level of work because obviously you're doing double. You're working at your job and you're working on your own project. But once you switch over to running your business full time, at least for me, my stress level came all the way down because I was able to think clearly about my business and manage my own time in a way that was really comfortable for me. So that was pretty much my story that I wanted to share with you guys. In my next video, I'm going to be reviewing your websites. And so if you're a developer or a business owner and you have a website, leave your URL in the comments down below. I'm going to audit them. I'm going to pick at least 4 or 5 to audit. I'm going to audit them. I'm going to tell you how you can improve them. Remember to leave a like on this video. It helps the channel grow. To subscribe, I make videos like this every Friday. My name is Emmanuel. My company is iCreateYourSite.com. And I hope you have an excellent day.